Hey everybody, Tom here. Let's take a minute and do a little forensic work and take a closer look at this split. First of all, this is Acer Saccharum, sugar maple, rock maple, hard maple, depending on where you are in the country and what industry you're in. Native very much here to the Northeast, but certainly into the Midwest and into Canada and down south a bit. But I just want to focus on this. This is obviously not connected to the tree anymore because it's been compromised. So why did this happen? Well, we know that this is a landscape site. This is a residential situation. It's not a forest situation, so we'll come back to that in a minute. This is a landscape tree with multiple stems, codominant stems, a lot of supporting branches, a lot of competing branches. And this one was oriented in a pretty horizontal situation. Nice angle of attachment to the leader, which we like, but an unfortunate orientation relative to its size and relative to the size of the leader. So this was removed as opposed to reduced or subordinated, and you've heard me talk about these terms in the past. Long story short, this was quite long and, like I said, quite horizontal. So what did it do? It caught the wind, caught the ice, caught the snow, and snapped. It didn't break off, and the tree, to its credit, has done its best to callus over this wound from both sides, upside down and backwards. Pretty awesome, right? I mean, in nature, this is what trees would do. But I submit to you that this would not happen that much in nature. Now, by nature, I mean 1491, okay? We would be in the middle of a forest, a dense forest with a lot of different species right up next to each other. And as you've also heard me say before, these trees would be going up, straight, tall, trying to find the sun. And they couldn't afford to make that investment in a bunch of little lateral branches, especially big lateral branches. If you saw any lateral branches below the canopy, they would be smaller and on their way out. And they would slough off, be pinched off, and pruned by the tree itself as it made its way up into the canopy where the food is. That all makes sense. But as I harp on about constantly out here in the landscape, I mean, look behind me. There's nothing but sun. So why bother doing that? Same with this sugar maple. This sugar maple said, well, hey, I'm going to put a bunch of branches out here, catch all the sun I can, put out a bunch of codominant stems, put out a bunch of lateral branches, reach out sideways rather than vertically, and get as much sun as I can. You can't blame the tree, right? But here comes climate change, here comes heavy wet snow, here comes winds, occasional extremes throughout history. But what's different about history is that we didn't have these cleared areas where there are forest trees. You would have a different kind of environment, whether it be a desert or high plains or something like that. So just one more kind of stark example from my perspective of why we prune and why we structurally prune, and why we work to subordinate these lower, lateral, and larger branches of the plants. We're trying to keep these plants, these trees, smaller and straighter so that they can grow sustainably through what is to come, especially in the context of the human-built landscape, okay? So had I the opportunity to come along 10 years ago, I would have shortened this branch so that it wouldn't be so heavy and bend and break. And instead, I got a souvenir. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but taking it home to put with the other 1,000 examples that I have of cool things that happened with trees. See ya.